Let me just say real quick that you might occasionally hear me drink some water, and I apologize if the mic picks that up. It's only because my throat is a little dry today, so I will apologize in advance. Okay, so first and foremost, go to Fragrantica.com. So there are two sites that I enjoy going to check out fragrance. One is Fragrantica.com and the other one is basenotes.net. I'm going here today because number one, I like this one. I feel like it has a wider range of frag heads. Basenotes.net tends to have a lot of people in the fragrance industry, a little higher brow, which is fine, but I like the wide range of opinions that I find on Fragrantica. The second thing I also like is what I'm about to show you next. So what I'm going to do now to show you my top 10 list plus 2 honorable mentions is to go to Notes. So under Notes, they have different categories, and then within each category, they have listed all the notes. So one thing that I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about my top 10 plus my 2 honorable mentions of notes, and then I'll define them, talk about the odor profile. I'm not going to talk about any fragrances in this episode. I will do that in future episodes if I come back to this notion of talking about notes. What I really wanted to do here is focus on the note itself. So the first category is citrus smells, and I have one here, and that is Neroli. So the odor profile for Neroli is a citrusy, light, slightly bitter note with hints of orange and honey blossom, floral facets, purifying, aromatic, and green. Keep in mind what I said, which is if it makes it on this list, it's because whenever I see a note like Neroli, I know I'm probably going to like it. At the very least, it intrigues me. It makes me want to know more, makes me want to get a sample, that kind of thing. If you look at something like tonka bean, see, I love tonka bean, but I feel like I can't put it in my top 10 just because it's quite common. It doesn't necessarily make me, based on that note alone, want to check out more about the fragrance. Neroli certainly does that for me. I love, love, love Neroli. Okay, that is the only one in that group. And then the next group is fruits, vegetables, and nuts. And I also have one listing here, and that is a tie between fig and fig leaf. And they both have the same definition. So I will just read the fig definition. Fig to me is a highly underutilized note. I love fig. It's extremely intriguing to me, and I wish it were... I guess I wish it were used more, but I'm glad it's not, because that way it helps me stand out from the crowd. Okay, so the odor profile is a complex green, sweet, lactonic fragrance. That's referring to the leaves. And the fruit itself is very sweet, honeyed, floral, and gourmand. Okay, let's go on to the next category. And for the next category, we have flowers. And I do not have anything on my list in this group. The next category is white flowers, if I'm not mistaken. Here we go. I'm trying not to go too fast for you. White flowers, and that is my first honorable mention. And that one is kind of the newcomer for me. It's the note that I'm really into right now. And I have a sneaky suspicion if I were to do this episode in a year or two, it would actually crack my top 10. And that is orange blossom. It's a lovely, lovely, lovely smell, close to Neroli actually. And the odor profile is a fresh and sweet white floral note with animalic undertone. Love that one. It is the up and coming note for me. It is the rising star, etc., etc. And that is an honorable mention for now. For greens, herbs, and fougères, fougère, of course, is French for fern-like. I have, I think, just one again. I do, and that is a tie between juniper and juniper berries. So anytime I see juniper or juniper berries listed, I know I'm probably going to like it, or at the very least want to smell it, want to know more about it. The odor profile is it has a fresh, balsamic, aromatic fragrance with piney nuances, and I did check before recording, and juniper berries has the same definition. Okay, so moving along now to the next category. we have spices. So those of you who watch me every week, you know that I definitely have a huge soft spot for cinnamon. Love cinnamon, and when you hear the definition, you will agree with me if you didn't already. The odor profile is a sweet and warm, powdery, tenacious, spicy note. That is really the best of both worlds of cinnamon because number one, I love the fragrance, and number two, it does superbly on my skin. Okay, so next up, and actually, you know what? Let's see. Cinnamon. No, I didn't skip. Here we go. Give me 1 second. There. So the next one is coffee. I love coffee note, and the odor profile is coffee berries are produced by the evergreen bush of the genus or genus Coffea. In perfumes, the coffee note is an intense dark roast facet that is linked to the cocoa or cocoa facet of patchouli in Borneo 1834. Lutans are famously put in good use, of course, by Amen, by Moulier, and then also L'heure de Torrent. Many of the one I love right now is Uomo, and I really appreciate that it smells a gourmand, like as if you were having a sweet dessert in a coffee shop, and then you leave the coffee shop or cafe, and you just smell divine. I love coffee. So number 3 is nutmeg, another underutilized note in my estimation. Really appreciate nutmeg. And the odor profile is, it is a fruit of Myristica fragrans. It has a sweet, spicy sweet facet with earthy and pungent base notes, and is used to provide an oriental spiciness that is subtler than the usual cinnamon, clove, vanilla bouquet of orientals. Thus perfect for masculine and lighter woody fragrances. Notable example is Fahrenheit by Dior and Vetiver Sport by Guerlain. On to the next category. And we have sweets and gourmand smells. And I have one squarely in here, and then I will say what I mean in just a second. When it comes to sweets and gourmands, I guess I have a kind of a tie. And let me talk about why. In fact, does it even have chocolate? It does not. Okay, so let me show you dark chocolate. And I kind of have like a 4-way tie. I know they're different, okay? So in the spices category was cacao or cacao pods, and of course that makes you use those to make dark chocolate, and then of course later on milk chocolate. So I guess those 4 alone, those 4 categories would be tied for me, and I'm going to talk about dark chocolate, but really it would be dark chocolate, milk chocolate, cacao pods, anything related to chocolate as a note, and I'm going to like it. And that's really as nuanced as I get when it comes to chocolate. The odor profile is a deep and rich gourmand note, rather bitter than sweet. I find that for me, dark chocolate mixed with coffee, sprinkled in with some sort of woods, just incredibly sexy. And I really think that that's a great combination for the nighttime evening fragrances for guys. Okay, so next category is woods and mosses, and I have 3. Now notice here, the first one is oud, but notice it's actually listed under agar wood. And some companies refer to it as oud, some as agar wood. I'm not sure necessarily why. Sometimes I wonder if it's because maybe they're trying to avoid the word oud, just simply because it's usually in conversations about whether or not we should be using natural resources. But the definition, because I looked earlier, we have good news here, because the odor profile says a pathological secretion of the Aquilaria tree, a rich, musty, woody, nutty scent that is highly prized in the Middle East. In commercial perfumery, it's safe to say all quote-unquote oud is a recreated synthetic note, which I actually find nice to hear. Either way, whether it's agar wood or oud, synthetic or not, I love it. All right, next up on the list is also in the same category, and that is down under G, and it is none other than guaiac wood. Okay, so the odor profile says depends on the specific material. The scent varies from sweet, balsamic, vanilla-like to woody, smoky, leathery, and tar-like. I tend to gravitate towards the woody, smoky, leathery, tar-like aspect of guaiac wood. But either way, anytime I see guaiac wood, I know that it's something I need to sample. Again, guaiac wood would probably be, if I had to list a top 3 besides cinnamon, guaiac wood would be on that list. Last but not least, you know that if you're ever tired of smelling like a little too tar-like or very strong incensey, smoky wood, you should definitely check out my third in this category, another favorite of mine, which is teak wood. The odor profile says a fantasy blonde woody note, and see what I mean? It's very fragrant, and it tends to offset some of the smokier woods, and I really appreciate teak wood, so it has to be on my list. For resins and balsams, I do not have anything listed. Now for beverages, the I think final category, I do have one, and it's in my honorable mention. It's my second honorable mention, and that is rum. So the odor profile says a complex, sweet, and aromatic chord that brings on succulence and molasses-tinged nuances to gourmands and woody fragrances. And I love the combination, especially with the woody fragrances, because I feel like it sweetens it up a little bit. So the smoky, sweet element that rum would bring to something like guaiac wood is just divine. And it makes my honorable mention. It is quite a common note. So again, I don't know if it can crack my top 10, but whenever I see rum, I know that I'm probably going to get good news, and it's going to be something that I like. All right, so there you have it. I think that is the last category. There, it just skipped. Sorry about that. And then we end with natural and synthetic, popular and weird. I don't have anything on this list, though I will say I can't say it's an honorable mention, but I will say I have had 2 fragrances that have down here listed vinyl, and I really like that one. So if I were to do this list in 2 to 3 years, this one could easily be an honorable mention for me. I don't think it would crack my top 10, but I really do like the 2 vinyl fragrances that I have smelled. I will check out later on a tennis ball. I'm a tennis fan. Who knew that there were tennis ball as a note? So I will go back to that in my own free time. I won't keep you. And then uncategorized. All right, so there we go. So here are my 2 honorable mentions are orange blossom and rum. The spices were cinnamon, coffee, nutmeg. The green herbs and fougères was juniper tied with juniper berries. The citrus smell was neroli. The white flower, honorable mention, of course, was orange blossom. I mentioned that. The woods was guaiac or guaiac wood, oud or agar wood, and teak wood. Fruit was fig. And then at the end, I had the sweets and gourmand, which was dark chocolate, kind of mixed with the spice of cacao. So you want to say cacao pod, cacao, dark chocolate, milk chocolate, chocolate, anything to do with chocolate, and I'm probably going to check it out. All right, so there you have it, folks. That is my top 10 list. Now,